Good morning and welcome to Namaste Today, a mindful way to start your day. I'm your host, Christopher Witecki, psychic astrologer and sensei to serious joy. This webisode is for Thursday, December 22nd, 2016. Namaste. Today is the first day of Capricorn and our heart rules the day. And we're going to talk about having our heart exposed and that vulnerability before Christmas. And in today's tea time, I'm going to discuss what I call the blue twos. We have several planets at 20 degrees. What does that mean? I'll have the answer for you today in your tea time. But first, let's explore the planets and today's astrology in your Moodcast and Zodiac Weather. This Zodiac Weather is for Thursday, December 22nd, 2016. And for the Global Earth Moodcast, sunny and passionate for everyone on Earth. Today the sun goes into step 1, so our hearts come online, but emotions may go overboard and we may get into an inner tug-of-war with ourself. Let's take a look at the planets. Well, yesterday was the first day of winter and the first day of Capricorn, but today is 1 degree Capricorn, and so I argue we're starting to feel the energy. And the energy has to do with yesterday was the first day of winter and the first day of Capricorn, but it's today that we reach 1 degree, and 1 degree is when you start to feel the whole transit. Now, Capricorn, like I said, is our ability to decide, and that turns into our control issues. The first degree, step 1, is I love, and so today our heart will be online, and our heart will be expressing its opinion about control issues. So today is a day that can go positive or negative. This might be that day where you start to really get excited about Christmas because your heart comes online and you find yourself singing carols. But if your heart is not happy with the way things are going, or even worse, you feel out of control of your life, you feel like you can't get it under control, then the heart can sour on a day like today, and you might want to throw a temper tantrum. Now, adding to the complexity of the day, Mercury is retrograde, which means things just feel off, period. We're literally looking at life from a different perspective, and that Mercury retrograde happens to be squaring Jupiter opposing Uranus. In fact, for all you astro nerds out there, today Jupiter and Uranus are directly opposed at 20 degrees. In fact, there's a whole bunch of planets at 20 degrees. I'll talk about that in a moment. But today, because the moon is in Libra, it's going to cross over Jupiter and it's going to strike this chord. This chord is basically an inner tug-of-war going on, and our mind is the host, or you could say our mind is the judge. So let's get a little deeper. On the one hand, there's Jupiter in Libra, and Jupiter is now at 20 degrees, which means we're starting to get emotional, 20, about what's fair and what's loving. Basically, Libra is what's in it for us, believe it or not. And that's why Libra is a lot like Aries, because Aries is also what's in it for us. But Aries is out charging and getting, where Libra is actually standing at the door and waiting to count the money. Okay, so we are feeling what's in it for us today. And depending on how you've done so far in your story, this may be a good thing or a bad thing to feel it. If you've been winning, what's in it for us is not a big deal question. But if you've been losing, what's in it for us can be a big deal or some high drama. And with the moon crossing Jupiter, we're going to feel the question, what's in it for us? Now, opposing that Jupiter is Uranus in Aries, retrograde at 20 degrees. And so we are also starting to feel, who am I? Or who am I anymore? Now, the whole anymore kind of part is actually the retrograde. We're going back, we're looking back. Everyone on Earth is going back and looking back at their character, their actions, and the man or woman they want to be. So on one side of the argument, you have, what's in it for me? When do I actually get to feel good and feel the love and feel what I want to receive? And on the other side of that is, who am I? Who am I anymore? Who should I be? Am I doing this right? Uranus and Aries, am I actually doing this right? Or re-questioning what we're doing? Now, in the center of this, almost like a badminton judge, sitting on two sides of the fence, is our mind, literally squaring both these sides. And Mercury is at retrograde 14, step 14. Now, step 14 adds to a 5, And whenever the planet is at its own number, because Mercury rules a number 5, then the planet itself might be redefined. In other words, your mind may be completely reprogrammed or go off in a really weird way here in the next few days as you are exploring this opposition of where's mine and who am I anyways these days. All right? And with the 14, it may mean that you are on the wrong level, you are on the wrong planet, or you may visit something very awkward to get to the conclusion. So don't feel crazy, all right, friends? Everyone is kind of being taunted by the planets today, and there's a lot of emotion on the horizon. In fact, I just want to give you a fair warning, okay, that in the next 24, 36 hours between now and Saturday morning, I've predicted a lot of people may go through a bit of a meltdown emotionally, and this may be that the year gets to you, you're starting to feel everything, but step 2 will rule tomorrow, and there are so many 20s going on in the planets right now. In other words, we have Jupiter at 20, we have Saturn at 20, we have Uranus at 20, and we have Chiron at 20. So all these planets at the passionate degree of 20 on a 2-day. What that means is this is kind of a tension cord that might kind of go off, and depending on how mindful you are of yourself and your emotions determines whether or not you get kind of slipped into going off on someone or yelling at Santa or, screaming at someone in the Christmas line, right? So today is definitely a day to get in your heart and kind of feel out what's going on. And I believe that at some point in the day, you're going to feel all of your passion get strummed. As the moon crosses Jupiter, you're going to feel everything expand. You may feel more vulnerable, or you may feel more love. Let's remember, step 1 rules the day. So your heart and where it is today has a lot to do with where you'll go emotionally. I argue you're going to get more emotional, period. That all emotion is going to kind of start to expand now. But whether that's a good thing or a bad thing kind of depends on your inner child and where your mind is pointing. So let's talk about all these emotions and all these planets at 20 degrees. Go steep yourself some tea, my friend, and let's have our daily tea time. Hello, friend, and welcome to our tea time. Today's tea time topic is the blue twos. Now, I've been practicing astrology for about 20 years now, a little over 20 years. And in all of that time, if you don't know, I became a degree expert. That's really what I focused my study on, was the degrees of all the planets. And so I've been watching the degrees like a hawk. Part of the reason is because I've been doing daily astrology for almost 12 years now on the internet, and the planets actually move pretty slow. So I was looking for a deeper reason or a deeper way to understand the planets. And as I looked at the degrees, I started to see that indeed, it doesn't matter what the planet is, it doesn't matter what sign it's in. There are certain qualities to the degrees that are always true for every planet. And right now, we have 4 planets that are at 20 degrees. Now, in my system of degree analysis, which I call step astrology, each of the numbers kind of quantifies to a state of awareness. And the 2 is I feel. So whenever you see a 2 in the degrees, it means that things will get emotional or things will get very Cancer or moon-like, all right? And so today, the moon is crossing Jupiter at 20 degrees, so you can kind of add it up. It's the moon with more moon, right? And what it also means is that I believe all the planets that are at 20 degrees will also kind of feel it, all right? So the 2 is I feel. The 0 is I protect or hold space for, which, by the way, was yesterday's ruling number. So if you want a little lecture on how 0 works, listen to yesterday's Namaste Today and Tea Time. I go into that. So today, really, it is I feel, and I either feel protected with the 0, or I feel nothing at all, because I haven't consciously worked through the 0. What does that add up to? Vulnerability. So today we might be feeling very vulnerable, and we might have a firestorm of a vulnerability here in the next few days as all these kind of 2s or 20s all emotionally vibrate and ricochet off of each other, causing a bit of an emotional storm. And adding even more 2 on top of that, today Mars is at 2 degrees Pisces. So that basically is another push of emotion. Now, how do I interpret this down to the planets? Well, I've already started to talk about it a little bit. Jupiter in Libra is at 20 degrees. So that means we are feeling what is in it for us. We're trying to feel our share. We are feeling the balance or imbalance of things. We're feeling the love or not feeling the love. And again, if you're not protecting with that 0, we're feeling vulnerable about all of it. Then there's Uranus in Aries, and that's retrograde. So we are feeling our character, we are feeling our actions, we are feeling our ego a lot because it's Aries, and therefore we are feeling defensive a lot too, and either vulnerable or protected. Then there's Saturn at 20, and I think this is the planet that's maybe causing the problems. It always does. And ironically, Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn, and so Saturn has a little more power now than usual during the year because we have the sun in Capricorn. So Saturn at 20 degrees Sagittarius says we are feeling our beliefs or we are feeling completely ignorant. It can go either way because it really depends on whether or not you built your beliefs or not. And that 0 makes us feel really vulnerable. So we're really feeling vulnerable about being wrong. We're feeling vulnerable about knowing the wrong thing or not being able to see around the corner. A lot of emotion there. Now, the final planet actually, I think, is God's solution to all of this, to be honest. And that's Chiron at step 20 in Pisces. Chiron is the healing planet. It's actually an asteroid comet. I believe Chiron is the ruler of Virgo, by the way, so I look at it as Virgo's ruler. I think Virgo has a lot of similarities to Mercury, but has no business with Mercury, honestly. Mercury is all Gemini, in my opinion. But Chiron is the ruler of Virgo. It is the integrity planet. It is ultimately what is healing. And so with all these other planets kind of raising emotional hell with step 20, Chiron is calling for something different in its step 20. And I believe that is self-compassion and self-mercy. So Chiron is pushing for us to allow compassion and mercy to help us through all these 20s and all these emotions. Mars, which I mentioned at step 2, is pushing on Neptune right now. And that means we're literally pushing our spiritual story. But Neptune is also our compassion. So you could say that Mars at step 2 is also pushing for compassion. So literally, God lights a fire and also God brings a rainstorm to put it out. It's up to us, I think, to apply that self-compassion. Now, self-compassion is kind of a groovy thing. You know, it only really counts in the moment. And today, during the day, the moon's going to cross over Jupiter at step 20, which will probably be one of the first moments you feel these vibrating 2s all over yourself, all right? And it's actually in that moment that you want to be self-compassionate. It's something you practice in a moment when you're going through a lot of strife, which is stay calm, it's okay. Those are my magic words. It's okay. You know, like, it's okay your life's on fire. It's okay this just happened. We're just going to not freak out. We're going to just go with the flow. That is the self-compassion, and that's what you want to do today. Now, if things are just out of hand, it could be the 0 in the step 20. And the 0 is either empty, if you thought nothing about it, or it is where you've gone to protect yourself or taken time and space for yourself in those areas. So in other words, in all these areas, what's in it for you, what you believe, your strength in character and actions and ego, and your self-compassion. In all of this, it only counts if you've taken a little time and space with yourself to deal with it. So if you haven't, you might be asking for a bit of a volcano. One last point I'll mention before I let you go. Tomorrow, the sun moves to step 2. So that means that everything can kind of be lit on fire and all these 2s can go off. And because it's Capricorn, it's control issues. So Sensei is giving you a fair warning 24 hours in advance that there's a chance of storms for you and many people on the planet. Incidentally, if you're a subscriber to my personal Sensei service, today at 3 o'clock your local time, in your eye candy, I'm going to talk about where that firestorm is between Libra and Aries in your personal chart and where your mind is either in the way or assisting. So look for that at 3 o'clock. Okay, my friends, well, good luck today. I do think today is going to be a bright day if you stay in your heart and you keep your mind on the goal. And remember, I'll be back in 24 hours with more to help you through that step 2 and more. Until then, remember I love you. and live, love, be.